Welcome, everyone, to our NFL Week 15 DFS strategy and lineup builds, a show that has been presented to you each and every week by GAB Sports. I'm your boy, Young Moolah. We are gentle and blissful, gifted and beautiful, generous and benevolent, and most appreciatively, we are grateful and blessed. Guidelines to achieve and build GAB Sports. Yes, off a not so great week for us in Week 14. I'll admit, and yourself and come back with that same diligence, that same fortitude, and also that same hunger. Yes, you have to be hungry in this game. You have to continue to grind. You have to miss the chance to capitalize on one small opening. It can just ruin, your whole program for that week. And this is what we want to try to always continue to stress here at GAB Sports, is to seize those opportunities when they come along, because you only have maybe a couple of them each year to where you can just really have a great avenue. And I'll talk to as we go over a lineup review for Week 14 of how we missed this golden opportunity this past week. But we're here for a new week, right? It's a new week of excitement. I see a lot of opportunity, right? Many people are focused on their best ball, bad beats. And this is a very large slate in that we have 13 games on this Week 15 slate here on. And that's a very large number of games to have to gather information on and to determine which ones are really relevant, which ones we may be able to just push to the side, because this week you can't just love everything, right? On any given slate. You can't try to incorporate everything into a slate. And especially with our hand building approach, where we generally will have 20 to 30 lineups, we're going to have to compartmentalize this slate, right? We're going to need to go ahead and cast aside some of these games, right? And we're going to have to go ahead and dig deep into the games that we have of interest. There are some trends that we definitely need to grasp a hold of. But then there are things that are starting to happen right before our eyes, such as that guy in Cleveland starting to make his mark, right? That's something we need to be mindful of. There are teams that may start to shut down players. Calendar turns into the month of December. Some teams get a little bit more proficient, right? Some teams, some players, in fact, they put the cape on. It's December. It's winning time, right? Josh Allen, right? Perfect example. This, some guys have that winning drive to know that this is the time to turn it up a notch. And so you got to be on the predictive side of things when you start to attack some of these spots in DFS. And so with that being said, we're going to get right into one of our featured segments. What you talking about, Willis? Yes. Forget what you thought. This is what you need to know. As I said, the leaves have turned, right? It's no longer fall. It's no longer that cozy, comfy weather that we've been used to for the past 2-3 months, right? It's getting chilly out here, man. Even in California, we are getting a very cold front coming through, and it's at night, man. It's like damn near freezing temperatures. I know some of you guys are like, what are you talking about? Yeah, it's like 40 degrees here, a little under sometimes, and that is super cold for California. And so I do not envy you guys who are getting those wind chills and the minuses, which they are expecting in some of the games here for this upcoming slate. And that's basically changing what the dynamics in DFS as well, right? We got to look to those guys who are going to be in these games where they're going to be hard-fought, cold, frostbitten type games that will actually benefit maybe the running games, right? But what we want to focus on here is things like the practice reports, right? Practice. We're talking about practice. Practice. We're talking about practice, not the game, but we're talking about practice. Yeah, practice reports, throw them out the window, right? because Wednesday, Thursday, even Friday, right? If we're looking at practice reports to give us an indication of what to expect, no, don't worry about the practice reports. Guys will be limited in practices right now because everybody's a little banged up. And so you're not going to have people practicing at a high rate right now, right? Not in full, right? Even if you get to Friday and the guy hasn't practiced Wednesday or Thursday, as long as he logs a limited session, that will tend to be okay if you correlate it with one thing, right? So don't just look at the practice, correlate it with something else. And what might that be? What you talking about, Wes? What we are talking about is the practice needs to be correlated with the standings. Yes, you got it. The standings. So forget what you thought. This is what you need to know. The standings will tell you everything you need to know about whether a guy's going to play. Because when these teams are still in the hunt, right? They still got a shot at the playoffs. They still have a shot at maybe the first round bye. They still got a shot at clinching the division or winning the division. Guys who are dinged up and arm damn near falling off, leg all twisted up, knee swollen, they're going to play. It's the NFL. You know, that's what they do. They take some painkillers, do whatever. So as long as they get a limited participation up by Friday, they will play if they have something at stake. Incentives. Look for the guys who are approaching incentive milestones in their contracts to be able to get, you know, some extra bonus dollars. Those are things that players really focus on at this time of the year, right? But if you got a team, hey, man, we're fighting for like the top 5 pick in the draft, right? We're 2-10. We're 3-9. A guy has, you know, an ankle sprain, right? A guy has a sore hip, right? Yeah, he might sit out. Those are the kind of dudes that might just say, hey, man, I'm throwing in the towel. My mind is already on Cancun and the Cabo and things like that. So they might just be like, hey, I'm not playing this week. Yeah, I got an injury, right? I got, you know, a little bit of slight hamstring. But the guys who are fighting for some things, the Devontae Adamses, the Josh Jacobs of the world, they will play, okay? Unless they're just in the hospital or something, these guys will ramp up themselves, get enough treatment. They'll be out there on Sunday. So don't worry about that this week. Forget what you thought. This is what you need to know. Forget the injury report. Forget the practice reports. Well, not the injury report. Forget the practice reports. Just know, look at the standings. That'll tell you everything you need to know. Forget what you thought. This is what you need to know for week 15 as we turn the calendar into the cold months of December, where winter football is not the same as fall football. And look at a lineup review from week 14. All right. Beautiful lineup. 222.56 points is not our lineup. No, it's not our lineup. But it should be our lineup, right? Because look at the lineup. Shedeur Sanders, Harold Fanning. Yeah. Puka Nacua, Michael Wilson combination. That's not hard to get to, right? Especially for us. We've been on the Shedeur Sanders hype train well ahead of anybody, right? But we dropped the ball this week, and that's what I want to focus on. Because this user here, we'll give him some credit. CP15, he did, you know, this was in a 5-entry max, and he had the Shedeur Sanders stack. The same stack that if you can go back to week 12, where I went on a rant about Shedeur Sanders, how people were bashing this guy for no reason. And once he got his opportunity, he would crush, and we played him week 12, week 13. But we got to week 14, we saw the 33 total on that game against the Tennessee Titans in frigid weather, and we dropped the ball. We didn't go with our angle, and we have to take a lot of responsibility for that and know that you got to close the loop. You have to be able to find those winning edges, and this is one where I will just have to admit we lost our edge right here. The Shedeur thing was supposed to be us, right? Because we had been on him all season, even before he got to be the starter. We were on Shador. So just going to mention that. Look at that, 0.4% on. And this guy, beautiful lineup. Got the Puka, Michael Wilson correlation that you just had to have by using this kind of a stack, this low price stack. He was able to get to that correlation and knock it out the park. Good for him. And so in this same contest, we will show you our lineups. We have to scroll all the way to the bottom to get to our lineups, where we had this lousy lineup right here. Yeah, this is us. We had a Joe Burrow stack, which, we attacked that game of the Buffalo game here in this lineup. And that's not a bad angle, right? We had Chase, didn't do much. And then we had James Cook as a run back. Look at all the snowflakes we had, right? James Cook, Chase were both chalky guys who didn't bring anything, right? And we had a ton of Josh Jacobs who, middling game. And we got around to a lot of Debo. We had quite a few Debo shares, even he was only 2.8% on, and Washington got shut out. So this lineup failed miserably, right? And it was basically symbolic of our Week 14 as a whole. We only got 102 points here. And so we are on the bounce back train, right? So we've deciphered this slate, Week 15. We've come up with some very strong conclusions of how we want to attack this. All right. So let's go ahead and jump into a build of a Millie Maker, right? We're going to build up a Millie Maker. Yeah, the clock's ticking, man, on this season. Yeah, we need to go ahead and jump into some stuff that might hit a home run. We might hit the lottery ourselves, right? Two of our hats in the ring here with the Millie Maker this week. And so we're going to go ahead and build one custom Millie Maker lineup here for you today. And once again, we'd like to just say thank you for joining us on this journey. Please take the time to like the video. Feel free to leave a comment, subscribe to our channel, and follow us on social media. That's at GAB4Young, the number 4, and YUUNG. Thank you for your continued support here at GAB Sports. We are ever so grateful for each and every one of you. Let's go ahead and get this money. One thing that I have determined, I've only got 5 quarterbacks under consideration. We have 13 games, and I've reduced it to 5 quarterbacks only. I'm not going to play any other guy other than these 5 guys. And those 5 guys are in games, some games that are, attractive, you could say. The Baltimore-Cincinnati game, we got both sides of that one. We have Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow. And then we have another game with 2 quarterbacks of interest, and that will be that Washington, New York Giants game. We're going to take both sides of that one, all right? Marcus Mariota and Jackson Dart. I don't care if we missed out last week. I don't care if you think we're jumping on the bandwagon. We showed that we are leaders of this bandwagon. Yeah, going with Shador Sanders in frigid Chicago this weekend. Yeah, I like the matchup. The price is still cheap enough, and we're going to rock some Shador Sanders. So, in fact, let's start right there. We're going to start right there with the Shador build. And there's usually, we can go with a double stack of Shador, right? But we just like this one angle so much. We always play this angle when we play Shador. Just play Fannin, man. Fannin is the dude. But this week, let's see if we want to have any kind of correlation here. We know that Cleveland defense just gave up a ton of running to Tennessee last week, right? Pollard had the game of his career. Okay, so Adunze, let's see what's going on with Adunze. We will check the injury report for this guy because they do have something to play for. Limited participant Thursday, but his foot still hurting. Don't like that he has a foot injury. Yeah, foot injuries on a cold field, bad foot. We're going to steer clear of Adunze. And I do think I want to play a running back for Chicago. The Monarch train is going pretty high here, but we're going to go ahead and run it back with Swift. All right. Let's put him at the RB spot. DeAndre Swift. Okay. That'll be enough exposure for now for this team in this lineup. So our next piece that we want to put in this lineup, we want to go to that explosive game because we definitely don't want to be left out of that game. It's a late game, that real super high total, but we don't want to play the quarterbacks or the stacks in this game. Yeah, I don't think there's enough upside on either guy. Yeah, that would be Matthew Stafford or Jared Goff. I'm not interested in playing either one of those guys this week. But we are interested in plenty of other pieces in this game. And that being the number one stunner. Yeah. I'm going to roll with Gibbs. We're going to have plenty of Gibbs. And who else do we want to play in this game? I got a sneaky play. A very sneaky play. That'll be this guy, Isaac Tesla. Yeah, the coach speak has been very strong on this guy. A little bit more involved with the passing game in these final few games. So we're going to go with Isaac Tesla as a home run, swing for the fences type of play because we're trying to hit that milli maker bink, right? So you got to sometimes put in a very high risk play that has a big, huge reward if it hits. Okay? And he can very well give us a 0, right? Might not catch a ball. But we're going to trust in what we've been hearing and what we've been seeing, and that is an increase in his snap counts. And we'll roll with Isaac Tesla in this lineup. All right, from the Rams side. The Rams side, let's go ahead and put him in a flex. We're going to roll with, we're not going with Puka this week. We're going to roll with Devontae Adams. Yeah. We see that big Q there, and he hasn't practiced hardly. But guess what? That's what we talked about. What you talking about, Willis? Forget what you thought. Go ahead and feel free to play Devontae Adams because they are fighting for the number 1 seed. You think he's going to sit out in 3 weeks in a row with this hamstring? He's playing. So we're going to roll with Devontae Adams in our flex as part of that explosive late window game. We want some pieces of that, and we're rolling with Devontae Adams. Found a guy. Probably won't be the guy you thought. I think San Francisco is probably going to spread the ball around quite a bit here, and they may crush Tennessee. Who knows? But there's a guy I like on Tennessee for his big play capability. Yeah, another rookie. This guy here, Chamir Dickey. He can also return kicks. So we're going to go ahead and play a Chamir Dickey, and that gives us a pay-up opportunity. We have a pay-up opportunity, right? Who is the guy? It'll be this guy right here. Yeah. Jackson Smith and Jigba. It may be raining, but who cares? He's going to get usage this week. Jackson Smith and Jigba was sitting there for us against the Minnesota Vikings, and we were in a good spot a couple weeks ago, right? We did that lineup review last week on last week's show, and he didn't really deliver for us. That's okay. We don't hold grudges. We come back another week looking at the landscape of this slate, and I like Jackson Smith and Jigba at home against your Indianapolis Colts, who are minus some players in that defensive backfield, right? Most notably, Sauce Gardner, and that'll give Jackson Smith and Jigba an opportunity to succeed this week. All right, how about we just go ahead and take Carolina in a dome against those Saints? Maybe turn them over a couple times. All right, so there you have our lineup built. We went with a Shedeur Sanders skinny, where we have Shedeur and Harold Fannin Jr. Running back with DeAndre Swift. They're in a Chicago game with the temperatures will be approaching 0, and it will be freezing, I'm sure. And then we had some correlation in that super high potent game in the late window, that being the Detroit Lions versus the Los Angeles Rams, and we have Jahmyr Gibbs, Isaac Tesla, and Devontae Adams. Nice trio of picks in that game that we can combine to get a little bit different, throwing in Isaac Tesla. And then we also have two other late plays. Chimere DK going against the San Francisco 49ers, where we expect Tennessee to be in trail mode, meaning maybe there's plenty of opportunity for a guy like DK to get quite a few looks here. And then we have stud Jackson Smith and Jigba going against the Indianapolis Colts, who are minus Sauce Gardner. And then we ended it up with the Carolina Panthers defense in a very key game for them, as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers just lost last night. The Panthers can take over first place in that division with a win here against Carolina. So we have one entry here into the Millie Maker contest. All right. Let's go ahead and save that one. And let's look to jump into another contest. The 40K Engage 8. $8.05 max entry. Okay. So there's a total of 5,800 entries in this contest. That will basically determine our strategy, right? On how we want to approach these types of fields versus a Millie Maker type of field. It's a, totally different strategy, totally different approach. And so what we will do is we're still only using a few quarterbacks here, right? We're going to go with this guy. He's under a lot of heat for the way he's been playing the past few weeks. Rightfully so. But the calendar has turned. This is winning time. There's no more excuses. You either lay it all on the line right now, or you're going to be home for Christmas and New Year's, okay? So, Lamar Jackson going up against the Cincinnati defense that has been a sieve for opposing tight ends, right? They've just been Matador, right? Hey, man, this guy's coming at me. Let me get out of the way. Matador defense, right? Versus tight end position. So we love the tight end position against this team. So what are we going to do? We're going to do the unthinkable. That's right. Because why? We're looking for that edge, that late season, one-of-a-kind build where you just get that outcome where nobody's really thinking of, right? We witnessed the Pittsburgh Steelers just simply annihilate the Cincinnati defense with the tight end, right? They had 5 touchdown receptions between them, those tight ends. And we have another team with a very strong tight end group. So why not just use them right here, right? Yeah, let's do it. We're going to go with both tight ends, Mark Andrews, and likely we're going to play both of the tight ends in this lineup. All right. And we're going to run it back with a notorious Baltimore Raven killer. That will be Jamar Chase. Yeah, he has a lot of big games against this team. Particularly, I don't want to go with Gibbs. We're a little cheaper down on our list with Woody Marks. Yeah, I know he has a Q. He's playing. We want to stay on the cheap end of things or not? Well, let's go ahead and go to the receiver that we had our eyes on, which is why we kind of kept our pricing in check. That'll be that guy for the Detroit Lions. Yeah, we want to get a little piece of him. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Okay. And now we can put in our next running back, which will be back to the well again. Blake Corum. Yeah. Back-to-back games. We're going to trust it. Yeah, we're trying to win, man. So sometimes you got to take that angle. We want some correlation in that game. Remember, with Blake Corum, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and that leaves us with 9,900 for 2 positions, wide receiver and defense. So we won't focus on the defense too much, although let's just put the defense in that we would really like to have here and see what that leaves us at the receiver. And that would be the Texans. All right, and that leaves us with 6,300 for a receiver spot. Okay, let's look at the available options. Hey, we can tack on another Baltimore piece if we want. Don't want to do that right here, but We can tack on another Detroit piece. How about we go with this guy? Playing for first place. How about this guy? Tetaroa McMillan. Yeah, well, we like this one. All right, so this is our second and final lineup build here on DraftKings, where we are entering into the 40K Engage 8 5 max entry, and we will roll with a Lamar Jackson double, where we brought his two favorites options, basically, his tight ends. They'll be his favorite ones this week. We are banking on that. And so that was Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely. And we ran that one back with Jamar Chase in a nice 51.5 total there. And it's going to be cold. Yeah, it will be very cold. Cold doesn't affect you at throwing the ball. No, don't believe that. It's more the wind, and the chill factor can play a bit into the conditions of the field. But, we'll go ahead and cross that bridge once we get to Sunday in case we need to make some kind of changes. With another correlating situation where we have Woody Marks with his Texans defense against the Arizona Cardinals, where I expect the Houston Texans to kind of lay it on the Cardinals here. And this is a very good spot for a running back to be in when you are a pretty sizable home favorite. And we have another mini correlation of that game of the week, where we have a correlation that may not be always popular as some of the other correlations from this game. So we went with Blake Corum and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Then we finished the lineup off with Tetaroa McMillan against the New Orleans Saints. Carolina Panthers are shooting for seizing first place in that NFC South division. All right, there you have it. A Battle Royale draft. Let's get ready to rumble. We ended up with the 6th pick. All right, that's fine. Okay, so getting to this draft, we're up next here in the Battle Royale. Oh, big dog. Yeah, thank you. We like the big dog spot. Big dog and dog. We'll take him. He and Amon-Ra St. Brown. We'll take him too. Okay. Let's size up the competition here. We got N3S. We have Tiger Woods. And so JSN, Puka Nacua, Jamar Chase, 3 first-round receivers, along with 3 first-round running backs, CMC, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Big Dog, ETN. I do like ETN this week in this spot. I think he's our number one option that we would like to get. Let's see what N3S does here. Kittle, interesting. Okay. Yeah. We're rolling with this one. We're going to go ETN and Lamar. Yes. Lamar, big dog combo. The unconventional stack. And a must-win game. 4 rushing touchdowns between them. Ideally, Baltimore gets 6 touchdowns this week because we're going to be heavy on them in DraftKings and here in these Battle Royale contests. We're going to go heavy Ravens. I think that's one of those angles that it's an obvious play to me, and people are going to overthink it, I believe. Yeah, the Ravens haven't looked great, but they've been so close to having some explosive weeks. I mean, just look at the way the plays have ended up. I mean, some of these plays that have been in the end zone, Likely's dropped the ball at the goal line. He didn't make a football play. a football play. He caught it and just took two steps with the ball in his hands. That's not a football play. But, we'll see. We'll see what happens this week. But I'm on the Ravens heavily. We'll go likely and one of these receivers here. Yeah, both of these teams have a tight end. Yeah, with that T. Higgins news, I think that opens up some plays in that game. Jasicki coming off of a very big game. He doesn't get a lot of snaps, but this guy's heavily involved in their passing game when he's on the field, so he's definitely in play. Mike Jasicki. And Andre Yoshevitz is definitely in play as well now as the second receiver. All right. So that gives us some very good value options over there on DraftKings. Yeah, likely Wandale it is. How about we do it this way so we don't disrupt the ADP? Take the guy who's rated a little higher first. Then you come back with the other guy. All right, so there you have it. Underdog, we have Big Dog, Derrick Henry. I'm on Ross St. Brown. Then we came with Travis Etienne and Lamar Jackson on the 3-4 turn, giving us the pairing of Lamar Jackson with Big Dog, the unconventional pairing. And then we wrapped it up with another piece of that Baltimore team. We went with Isaiah Likely and Wandale Robinson to round out the roster with a 1-2-2-1 build. Okay, you can see some of the other teams if you like here. We got in 3S with Jackson Smith and Jigba, Josh Allen, George Kittle, A.J. Brown, Woody Marks, Tyrone Tracy, right next to us. Then we had Tiger Woods with CMC James Cook, a very strong backfield combination, Devontae Adams, Brock Bowers, Jalen Hurts, and Jacoby Myers. Okay. Let's go ahead and cut it off right here. Yes, we'll go ahead and end things right here. Our NFL Week 15 DFS strategy and lineup builds show brought to you each and every week. And also, we want to promote a new show, Mission for Moolah. Go ahead and check it out here at GAB Sports. Mission for Moolah, where we detail our best ball exposures and advance rates and our mindset on how we approach best ball this season. As you know, that we are into the best ball postseason. A very informative and entertaining show that is a companion to our weekly DFS strategy shows. That is Mission for Moolah. And we want to go ahead and thank you all for joining us here today. Please, on your way out, take the time to like the video, subscribe to our channel, feel free to leave a comment, follow us on social media, and most of all, have fun this weekend and throughout the holiday seasons. Hopefully, we'll see you at the top of the standings right alongside myself. Enjoy your Week 15 football adventure. Peace.